Chapter 7, developing listening skills. We've talked about this. It is important for children to learn how to listen. And when you're saying to them, listen up, put on your listening ears, that's not enough. You need to be very intentional and specific about what it means to listen. So, we're going to talk about a bunch of different activities and ways that you can do that. Excuse me. Let's just go to the objectives. So we're going to talk about 5 types of listening, some techniques to promote good listening, how to plan activities to promote listening, and how to do it in your classroom. Okay. So listening and hearing are not the same thing, right? Because hearing is the physical way that you process sound. And listening is taking the sounds that you hear and understanding them. It's a mental process. Of hearing is a physical process. You can hear and not listen, right? I think you're all probably familiar with that if you have relationships with other people, children, significant others. Often they can hear and not listen, and probably you're the same way. But so how do we work on that? How do we help people listen in addition to hearing? So there are 5 types of listening. There's appreciative, that's listening to music, that's listening to a pleasant conversation, that's for your pleasure and entertainment. Purposeful follows directions and replies. You're telling me to do something, I am listening to it and responding to what you're doing. Discriminative is listening to hear sound differences. Creative is listening and hearing and using your imagination and emotion. And then critical listening is listening, understanding, evaluating, making decisions, and formulating opinions. So those are a bunch of types of listening that you need to do. All right. So let's talk about music again, songs. What are the things that children are hearing? The language features in songs, vocabulary. Songs often have words that we don't come across all over the place. One would be, Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. What does that mean? Why is that word there? Right? There are songs in other languages that have different vocabulary. There are songs where, okay, so the wheels on the bus. And there it introduces you to all the parts of the bus, right? The wipers. What kid knows what wipers are, right? So that's a vocabulary introduction for kids. Predictability. The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the bus go round and round all through the town. And then you sing it again with a different word. And then you sing it again. Rhyming, right? Words that sound the same. Repetition. Concept development. Concept development can be things like RED, red, apples are red, fire trucks are red, red, right? Cultural literacy, learning about the culture around you. And then, of course, there's discriminative listening and creative listening because you're listening for different pitches and sounds and volumes. And then creative listening, you're creating a picture in your head as you sing a song. Singing with kids, super important. Critical listening, you're talking about a problem or likes and dislikes, looking for errors in the way people are talking about things, predicting the feelings of others, discovering inconsistencies. That's when you're listening and you're hearing things that might not be quite right, or discriminating real from not real or whatever. This is a big, older preschool thing where older preschoolers love to catch teachers doing something wrong or making a mistake. And this is a good way to get those kids to listen critically. So it could be that you're calling everybody by a different name and they're listening for it, discriminative listening for sounds that are the same or different, rhyming, decoding in early reading, rhymes, clapping patterns. This is when you are listening for specific things, right? Creative listening, activities that create emotional responses, discussion of feelings about a read aloud, expression of feelings through art and drama. One thing that you can do for creative listening is put on different types of music, quiet music, loud music, and have children draw what they hear or paint what they hear, right? Techniques that promote good listening habits. First of all, you need to be aware of your own listening habits and abilities. You need to be indicating to children when you are listening to them, right? And making sure that you are being attentive when you're listening. You're not just busy doing something and pretending that you're listening. So you need to be aware of how you are listening and how children are perceiving that, right? And then you need to make sure that your instructions are clear and simple so that children who are listening have the ability to key in on what you need them to know. Teachers promote good listening habits by using body movement activities to help capture attention. Even though I'm talking to you through this screen, I'm not just sitting here and going like this and reading the slides to you. I'm talking with my hands, I'm talking with my face. This is the way that you get people to listen, because you're getting their attention and you're holding their attention. When you're reading a book out loud, when you're describing something in your classroom, you need to be animated and active to capture that attention. Using statements at the beginning, middle, and end of an activity to focus attention. If you've noticed, as I've sort of given you examples of things you might say to children, I start a lot of sentences with, oh my goodness, right? Or, oh my, or, oh, because it says to them, oh, Ms. Amy is going to say something now, or Ms. Amy's going to show me something now, or Ms. Amy's going to talk about what's going on. But using a statement to say, hey, listen up to me right now, maybe not, hey, listen up to me right now, but something that catches people's attentions, people's attention. And then at the end, to say, okay, we're done talking now. Maybe it's clapping, maybe it's singing a song, but something that catches their attention and says, now is a time for you to listen. Children will listen better if teachers speak with natural volume. If you yell all the time, it's always yelling, and so it doesn't catch attention. So the best thing that you can do is speak in the voice that you would usually speak in, and people have to stop what they're doing to pay attention, right? Focus your attention on the speaker. How do you get them to pay attention to you? Like I've said, right? Animation, movement, that works. Explain figures of speech. When you say, use your walking feet, which is a thing that I don't like, what do you really mean? Because I, as a 3-year-old, when you say use your walking feet, hear, but I only know how to walk with my feet. What I'm really saying is, I don't want you to run in the classroom, right? So maybe we should say that instead. Please walk. We don't run in the classroom because it's dangerous. Not use your walking feet, because I don't really know what that means. Same thing with use your words. A 3-year-old doesn't know what words are. A 3-year-old knows what talking is. So you can say, can you talk to me about what is bothering you? Can you talk to me about what happened? Can you talk to me about why you're crying? Use your words does not mean anything to a 3-year-old. And I can't stand it when I hear people say that. Check for understanding. So stopping periodically and saying, do we all understand what I'm talking about? Do you know what I mean by that? Ask them, they'll tell you, and reduce classroom noise. So if you want them to pay attention to you, you need to turn off the music. You need to turn off whatever other things are going on in the classroom and say, this is a time for listening. And sometimes it's good to have a cue that it's listening time, right? So a lot of teachers will say, put your hands on your ears so that you can listen. Putting your hands on your ears doesn't make you listen any differently, but it focuses your brain on, now is a time that I'm supposed to be listening, right? Same as use your listening ears. Like, I can only listen with my ears. So, what are you really trying to say when you say use your listening ears? You're saying, stop, hear what I'm saying, right? And focus on the words that I'm saying to you now. What impacts listening? Auditory perception. What can you hear, right? So, provide opportunities for kids to listen to different things to see if they can actually hear them. Prepare your setting for listening. Minimum distractions, heating and lighting, do not force, make it a safe, quiet place to listen. And then teacher behaviors impact listening, like what I said before. Planning an activity to promote listening skills. Talk, listen at group time. So, what you want to do is have talking and listening at group time. There's a lot of listening that usually goes on at group time. It's important that you allow children to talk as well. But let's talk about what a teacher's doing at group time. They are the center of attention generally, and they are describing what's going to happen, or they're reading a book, or they're telling a story, or whatever. So you want your children to be able to see you, right? So if you can't do circle, and I don't call it circle time because we don't always have a space in our classroom where we sit in a circle. So if we're not sitting in a circle, why would we call it circle time? Especially for children that we're trying to teach what a circle is. So call it group time. So one thing that you want to do is have everybody sit where they sit and then say, can everyone see my face? If you can't see my face, I need you to raise your hand so you can move somewhere where you can see my face. But I need to see all of your faces, and you need to be able to see my face, right? Tell what you're going to do. And then talk about, have a chart that talks about what are we going to do today. Model an activity. And then at the end, have a group evaluation. Do you think we learned something today? What do you think we learned? What was your favorite part about group time? Ask those questions and see what happens. Music as a listening activity. Again, there's never enough music. Music promotes listening to sounds, words, pitch, tone. Singing uses your physical mouth, tongue, teeth, your jaw, cognitive abilities, memorizing songs, poems. There's so much involved with listening to music and talking about music and singing. You've got to do it. Phonological awareness. As you remember, phonemes are those the tiniest little pieces of sounds in words, right? And phonics is how we put those sounds together to make words. So we think that phonological awareness may predict a child's future reading success. So the more that you can break words up into sounds and talk about how we put sounds together to make words, and then start talking about how those letters correspond to sounds, that's going to help reading success. Phonological awareness develops in stages, begins at 3 and improves over many years. Phonemic awareness is being able to hear those little sounds. Alliteration is when you use sounds over and over again. So the, bright bear, the blue bear boarded the bus to Birmingham. That's alliteration, using the same sound over and over again. Phonemic segmentation. I talked about this back when we were talking about phonemes. That's when you break words into the little sounds. So the word today is elephant. It has a lot of sounds in it. Let's see if we can figure out what all those little sounds are. O, f, n, t, o, f, n, t. That's a lot of sounds in a word. Or baby, b, a, b, e, right? So it doesn't correspond to how many letters are in a word. It's the sounds, right? It's a very fantastic idea to work with kids on breaking up sounds, starting when they're 3 years old. Banana, ba, n, banana. It's not easy to do, and even as an adult, it's hard to do, but the more you practice, the better it is. Continuant is hearing and isolating letters, and then you need to make connections. So single alphabet letters and the sound they make. A says A, right? B says B, C says K, and then you work on the secondary sounds as well. Um, Planning and implementing many listening activities, having an author's chair or a child picture book sharing, having kids listen to each other, listening for riddles, listening to follow directions, right? Playing red light, green light is a listening game. Playing Simon Says is a listening game. When you do things where they have to listen to what you say and then do it, that's a listening game and a following directions. Mark D. Pencil is music where it tells you what to do. Look it up. If you're interested in that, go take 216, I think, which is art and music. Okay. Listening is important, and we need to teach kids how to do it. The more opportunities you have in your classroom for kids to listen and practice listening, the better.